Well, hello there. Great to see you again. Hope you had a great weekend. I know I did, although the last thing I remember was Larry Kudlow putting on the leather mask. But I remember my childhood. When I was a kid, I had a dog named Chipper. It was a miniature schnauzer that looked like a tiny German general with mange. You know, think Wolf Blitzer, but with a collar. The dog drove me crazy because we lived on a street between a park and a busy street full of fast cars. And whenever the dog got out, you'd think it would run to the park to pee or poop, you know, like vagrants in Democrat-run cities. But no, it always ran up the street towards the traffic. And us kids would have to race after him and risk our lives trying to scoop the mutt out of harm's way. It was a weird habit when offered options to pick the worst one, which seems to be our president's problem. Instead of taking a quiet walk to the park, he just loves to run right into traffic and scream World War III.
We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principles, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Yes, he just said, for God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. And sadly, he wasn't talking about himself. He literally brought up regime change, pushing the war into a new phase, where our president just validated exactly what Putin was thinking. He may as well have said, we're nuking Russia next week, unless they do it first. Thanks, Joe. As we inch closer to negotiations, we just took a giant step back. It's like being on the 1-yard line and you get a 10-yard penalty for holding. That's baseball, Cat. Oh. Now, I thought our policy wasn't to topple Putin. For us, toppling regimes has worked out about as well as dating a stripper, at least for the people I dated when I was stripping. Biden threw gas on the fire, and at $6 a gallon, that's really wasteful. If only someone had warned him. I think the one thing he's got to say, this is where my expertise comes in, stick to one essential truth. The invasion was a clear violation of international law. And don't bring up regime change. Yes! Who got Brad Pitt to be on the 5? Oh, that was me. They should change the name of the show to The 10, am I right? Because that's what I am, right, Martha?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I thought that was Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I know. I get that a lot. I look younger. But maybe that's a question only the Pope can answer. The funny part, watching the media proclaim how forceful Joe had been in his regime change talk, only to watch it get walked back like an escaped prisoner being returned to his cell.
What a powerful speech that we just heard from President Biden there.
The speech was really, really well done, and it touched on several strategic points.
That line there at the end, directly to Putin, I think is the standout line from that entire speech, Wolf.
Yeah, he made it clear he wants Putin gone.
Certainly critical, certainly the message that he wanted to deliver here tonight. But that call at the end in terms of President Putin, that was something, no question about it.
Obviously, those words, this man cannot remain in power, very, very strong words.
Yeah, so strong, in fact, they had to be erased in a panic. A Biden aide said the president's point was that Putin cannot be allowed to exercise power over his neighbors on the region. He was not discussing Putin's power in Russia or regime change, sorry. So Joe just forgot to say all of that. Now, it's bad enough this administration is telling us what we can and can't say. Now they're telling us what we did and we didn't hear. Here's Joe trying to walk back his own words.
I want to make it clear. I wasn't then, nor am I now, articulating a policy change. I was expressing the moral outrage that I feel, and I make no apologies for it.
All right. But that came after something else he said that was kind of pointless.
You're in the midst of a fight between democracies and oligarchs. Who's going to prevail? Are democracies going to prevail and the values we share, or autocracy is going to prevail? And that's really what's at stake. So what you're doing is consequential, really consequential.
Okay, how does this matter to the rest of the world? It only matters to us, and it doesn't shorten the war. It only suggests that the war has a bigger mission for us, like it means more to us than it does to them. But does it? If only someone had warned him about this. The invasion was a clear violation of international law. Don't start talking about protecting liberal democracies because places like China and Russia, they don't draw that line. It's not that important to them, but they do understand violation of international law. You can't get around that statement. Who is that sexy beast? Someone should give that guy a late-night show. But there were other gaffes.
Sir, deterrence didn't work. What makes you think Vladimir Putin will alter course based on the action you've taken today?
Let's get something straight. You remember, if you covered me from the very beginning, I did not say that, in fact, the sanctions would deter him. Sanctions never deter. You keep talking about that. Sanctions never deter.
Well, then what's their point? Are sanctions like aromatherapy, where we just pretend it works, but it just stinks up the place? And then there's this.
Ukrainian people have a lot of backbone. They have a lot of guts, and I'm sure you're observing it. And I don't mean just the military. And you're going to see when you're there, and some of you have been there, you're going to see women, young people standing in the middle in front of a damn tank, just saying, I'm not leaving. I'm holding my ground.
So you're going to see when you're there, Biden puts his foot in his mouth more than a marooned cannibal. Now, maybe no one takes what Joe says seriously. Maybe the world leaders see our president like Forrest Gump. They laugh and take advantage of him. But this old dog leaves so many messes on the carpet. If only there was a product that could take care of that once and for all.
I am so sick of cleaning up these messes. There's got to be a better way.
Well, then we've got a scoop for you. Introducing the White House Pooper Scooper for when the president makes a mess of things. Perfect for when your boss is talking.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Or engaged in pissing contests.
And to clarify on chemical weapons, if chemical weapons were used in Ukraine, would that trigger a military response from NATO?
It would trigger a response in kind.
It even works on verbal diarrhea.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
81 million people can't be wrong. Order yours today. Shipping may take 12 to 14 months due to supply chain issues.
Wear a mask.
So the White House saw this trip to Brussels as a way to boost the president's sagging numbers. So he had all these photo ops, eating pizza with troops, holding a refugee child. Thank God there was no hair sniffing. And meeting with other so-called world leaders. But really, if he wanted to enhance his status, he just should have stayed home and dated Pete Davidson. It's sad. Joe's been in politics for over 5 decades, 6 if you count his first year as president. He was a VP for 8, been to a lot of countries, met all the players, and of course knows Ukraine like the back of Hunter's laptop. But in politics, the longer you're in it, the dumber and more detached you become. It's the only profession where experience counts against you. And the higher the stakes, the more Biden screws up. Look, we know Putin violated international law and follows it with bombing the crap out of Ukraine. So why help him at home by indulging his fears? It's just like telling Jesse Waters he's losing his hair. It only makes him angrier. Let's welcome tonight's guests. In the interest of time, her bio lists the people she hasn't interviewed. Anchor of the story, Martha McCallum. We call him Scrooge McDuck because he's an expert on money and hates wearing pants. Host of Kudlow on Fox Business and former director of the National Economic Council, Larry Kudlow. The only thing she does by the book is stealing from libraries. Fox News contributor Kat Timpf. And if Will Smith slapped him, he'd be getting his Oscar posthumously. My massive sidekick and the NWA World Television Champion, Tyrus. Oh, Martha, 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 Martha. What is going on with this administration? Should we be worried? Like, I feel like the Ukraine wants this to end, but Biden is just making it last longer by his stupidity, or is that just me?
That's just you.
Okay. That's my theory.
You know, I think that Zelensky would love for this to end, although every time they talk about negotiations, they seem to be at absolute opposite sides of the fence. With regard to the president and the things that he says, I think, honestly, he would be better off not walking it back at all and just letting it lie. Right. I mean, you know, no matter what you think of President Trump versus President Biden, you know that President Trump would never have walked back a comment like that. We remember the tweets that he said about the North Korean leader. But I also think that the smarter way to go with this kind of language is more along the lines sense of what we heard from President Reagan in terms of empowering the people of Russia and encouraging them to potentially make different choices in the future about their world and about the kind of world that they want to live in. Then it's a dig at Putin. It's sort of saying we recognize the fact that many of the people who live in your country are probably against this war and are probably against you and what you're doing, without calling for regime change. It also reminded me of President Obama, who told us time and time again that Assad's days were numbered and that he must go. And all across the country, the feeling was, well, this guy, there's no way he's going to last. His days are numbered. But guess what? He's still there. So those things have a way of sticking around, and you have to be decisive. And if you're going to say something like he said the other day, you just have to stick by it.
Yeah. Larry, what do you make of that, saying regime change? I mean, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
You know, Biden, who is totally bewildered, he can't say anything right. He had our troops going into Ukraine. He won't give Zelensky the weapons. He's cognitively disabled. It's an awful story. He's weak. He's intimidated by Putin. But he said the only good sentence of his entire presidency, okay, which had a Reagan feel to it. I'll probably be criticized for this. Nobody agrees with me. But he said it. He said it. You know, I mean, Reagan used to say they win. They said we win, they lose. Reagan used to say evil empire. Biden never attacks Putin directly. He never knocks him in the nose like he should. He has called him a war criminal. It was like pulling teeth to get out of it. Actually, it was a Fox reporter that got it out of it. He should call him a crook and corrupt because he has a $700 million yacht sitting off the coast of Italy.
Don't get jealous, Larry.
I know. Sell the yacht. Putin robbed the Russian working folks for the last 3 decades. But Martha's right in some sense. Biden said it. He took a whack at him. Stick with it. I mean, the people that jumped on Biden the fastest were the people in his own administration.
Yes.
Which is absolutely
Who
pathetic.
is that, by the way? Who is the person that's doing the jumping? We were trying to figure that out on the 5. We don't know who it is.
Well, I mean, ostensibly it was Antony Blinken. I don't know who started it, but it was Blinken as Secretary of State. I mean, Biden, look, he took one whack at him. It was the only decent thing Biden has said in a year or 14 months. Let it stand. Don't walk it back. Let it stand.
You know, Kat, given my many years of foreign policy experience going back to the 80s, I would disagree with Mr. Kudlow in saying that if you want to engage in negotiation, you don't demonize the other side. What side do you take? And remember, you work for me.
I do, which is actually, okay, so for Biden, he's not a guy, that wasn't in like the prepared speech.
Right.
I just don't think he's a guy who should be riffing.
No.
Like, I just think he shouldn't be riffing. And going back to my job, I think it's the difference between he was just saying, oh, hey, I was just saying how I feel. But it's because of who you are that it was such a big deal.
Right.
So if I see someone on Twitter who's like, oh, Kat's so annoying, like, get rid of her, I think she should be replaced, I'm not going to think about it too much. If I heard you say that, that would be a little more concerning to me because you could actually do something about that, just like Biden can actually do something about that. So that's why it matters.
Don't check your voicemail.
Can I just say one thing just quickly? Reagan pounded the evil empire and its dictators and its Politburo czars, and then not only wound up making a deal that was to his advantage, he wouldn't give up SDI, remember that, and then the Soviet Union fell. In other words, sometimes you got to whack them a bunch of times to show that you at least have some manhood. Biden's problem is he hasn't had any manhood in this whole thing, and he should be calling Putin a war criminal and a crook on a daily basis, and you might be surprised. Either the Russians overthrow him, or like, take a poll. Do you think, how many Americans do you think agree with Lindsey Graham when he first came out and said Putin should be assassinated? How many? 92%, 98%, 99%. In other words, Biden was on to something. His trouble is, as Martha said, he should have stuck by it, for heaven's sake, and softened those guys up.
The Kremlin said they thought it was alarming what he said.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, no, you know what's alarming? What's going on in Mariupol is alarming.
Yeah.
This statement is not alarming. How dare they say that? I mean, it's atrocious.
I love it when you talk like that.
All right, kids. Last word to you, Tyrus.
I don't know. I don't know what speech you guys are watching, but I guess we lost a lot of speech writers in the pandemic. Was the biggest class of workers that disappeared, I guess. He was talking about points of light and how it was going to be a beautiful thing, democracy. And then, my God, man, he has to go. There was nothing connected to that.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. Whenever he talks, you get about 2 minutes of cognitive speech,
right?
And then
false.
The non sequitur.
My God, man! And then I'm taking crazy pills, or I'm going demanding like him. He didn't walk back the regime change. He said policy change.
Yes.
He wanted to change the voting rights in Russia. He had no clue about what he said. He said policy.
Yes.
He forgot regime.
Yeah.
Regime, policy. I get him confused all the time. Tomato, tomato. We in trouble. There's no strong statements from him. All he does is ring dinner bells and enable the other side. And if I was in Taiwan right now, I would start packing up stuff because he just fires everybody up. They're literally on the phone going, yo, Xing, did you hear what he just said? Do it. He's empowering the wrong side and makes us look.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.